And we would say things like, well, the Lord, he can do anything. Well, yeah, he can. But we're not supposed to say, Lord, if it be your will, heal Aunt Susie. We're supposed to say, Lord, I know it's your will to heal Aunt Susie. Because everywhere Jesus went, he manifested the will of the Father. And he was anointed with the Holy Ghost and power, who went about doing good and healing all that were oppressed of the devil. And we know that, you are the Lord that not only forgives all of our iniquity, but you're the Lord that heals all of our diseases. And we know that your word says that all of the diseases that you allowed or you permitted to come on the Egyptians, you would not allow them to or permit them to come upon us, because you are the Lord that is our healer. So we know what God's will is. But when you don't know God's will, you pray goofy religious sounding prayers and say, well, Lord, if it be your will. So that was one of the things that happened in my childhood. And I was taught in my childhood by religion that the supernatural power of God was no longer for today. That it died with the apostles. And when the last apostle of the Lamb exited planet Earth, the supernatural power of God ended. That's what I was taught. Guess what I believed? I remember I was about 7th or 8th grade, and I was reading the book of Acts sitting on the top bunk of my bunk bed. And my dad was a denominational pastor. And so I was reading the book of Acts, and I got to Acts chapter 2. And my dad came in to get me up for school. And I began to read to my dad out of Acts chapter 2. And I said, Dad, how come it says here that they all spoke with tongues as the Spirit gave them the utterance? And Dad said to me, well, that's not for today anymore. That's done with. He was a denominational pastor. He was teaching what he was taught.